We are live. We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited to have on today Connor Panas. This is a pure Canadian podcast. I'm wearing my Plaid shirt. I got a Jays hat, and we got a Canadian boy here that has was drafted by the Blue Jays in 2015. So you got a crazy story, and I think a story that needs to be heard because it's the reality of sports and pro sports that everybody sees the glamour of a young athlete being drafted and you're going to make the big leagues, and they don't see the struggle of the minor league system and then being cut and then the independent ball and trying to make a comeback. And it's just been this crazy story of your progress. And I just want to get through this whole story and just let people know the reality of minor league baseball, but at the same time, the joy and the love of the sport and what's kept you going through this whole process, which a lot of guys probably would have given up by now. And you made this comeback in independent ball this past year, hitting, if I'm correct, I wrote this down, 22 home runs and having this crazy season. And now being drafted into Baseball United, a new league in Dubai. So just so many things to talk about. But let's talk about draft day. You're a Canadian boy and you're getting drafted by the only Canadian team, Toronto Blue Jays, at that moment. Let's talk about that moment with your family and how that all came about. And were you aware that Jays were going to draft you? Like, you had your conversation with them. Let's talk about that leading up to that draft and that moment.
Yeah, so just before that, grew up in Toronto, played for the Toronto Mets growing up, and then went to Canisius College. Now, recently changed to Canisius University.
Yeah.
Did really well there. Played all 4 years, and in my senior year, I got drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays. So I had a really good year. I knew I was going to go on the second day, so which is all the draft pick, not the first round, but round basically 2 to 10. And I had a little draft party at my house. I had all my friends, all my family, but I didn't know who was going to take me. So all day, I went in the ninth round. So just waiting around, pick after pick, it was probably the best day of my life. But one round before the Jays are going to take me, I get a call from my advisor at the time, and he says, "You're going to want to film the Jays' next pick." So I don't tell anyone. And that next round, ninth round, I hear my name called by my hometown team, and we celebrated. There's a lot of videos of it. It was probably one of the best days of my life because, you grow up idolizing the Blue Jays, and now you're officially a Blue Jay. So it was just very surreal.
From that moment when you get drafted, like, take us to the next 12 months, going into camp, going into training camp, going to all the stuff. Like, I'm assuming you went up to the big league camp that summer and just obviously you're there for a bit and all that. Like, give me the next 12 months and you ended up in Vancouver, starting off in Vancouver in low ball.
So basically a week, 2 weeks, it's a really quick turnaround. You get drafted, you get sent down, everyone, to the minor league complex in Dunedin. You gather there, you do your physicals. With me, in order to play in the States, it took about a week or two to get my working visa. They expedited it, so it was pretty quick. As soon as I got that, I was shipped up to Vancouver, which was, an amazing experience. First pro ball season. Big league city, great stadium, great atmosphere. And I got to play there that summer. So it was a really cool opportunity. John Schneider was my manager that year as well,
Yeah.
which is a fun fact. He was actually my manager all 4 years I was with the Blue Jays. So he went up with me every year. So I only had one manager with the Blue Jays, and it was John Schneider. So you go through that season. It's sort of a short season, right? It almost felt like summer college ball because it's not the full minor league season that I'm now used to. So you go home. Early in the fall, they get all the draft prospects out again. You do a little training camp, workout camp, stuff like that. And then the next year turnaround is your first spring training, which is, a real eye opener. You're not used to. It's literally every day. You're there at 4:35 in the morning, getting the day going, and you go all the way to about 3:30, 4. And by 6, 7 o'clock, you're exhausted. You want to go to bed, and you do it all over again for about 30 days straight. So um, I would say that was sort of my first turnaround 12 months of pro baseball, but first spring training was definitely an eye opener.
So when you're in college ball, getting drafted, you're the stud of the team. I'm assuming, or at least one of the studs of the team. When you get to that level where your first 12 months in baseball, where there's a lot of studs around you, how was the reality check with that? How was your? I would say, how was your mindset? Because mindset is a huge part of being an athlete, right? How was your mindset, and how did you feel you compared when you got to that level with everybody else?
Yeah, like you said, with college, I was when I was at Canisius College, we had a lot of good players. We were
Yeah.
really good there for a mid-major school. Went to a lot of conference championships and then regionals, but yeah, like you said, everyone drafted is the best player. So, and from low A to high A to double A to triple A, it keeps on going that way. So, you just got to find a way to separate yourself from the others. And mine was, I am a pretty good player, but no one's going to outwork me, whether it's early work or just hustle. And that's something I think I'm very proud of is, early work. I'm always getting live reads, or if I hit a ground ball, you'll never see me not run hard. I will always run hard. And that's, I think, something I've always done for my now I just finished my 8th professional year. So that's something I'm really proud of. And you just got to separate yourself from everyone else.
So take us through those 4 years. You said you had the same run as John Snyder. Give us those 4 years of what the progress was and all that till the
Yep.
day you were traded to is it San Diego, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
2015, I was in Vancouver.
yeah.
At the time, it was short season A for the Blue Jays. Had a decent year. Then I got called up next year after spring training to the Lansing Lugnuts, which was A ball at the time. And this is my first long, true pro season, 140 games, like the grind, spring
Yeah.
training and all. So, like it wears on your body, but I had another good year, hit a lot of home runs. And then next year I got the call up to Dunedin, high A. Um, Probably one of my, compared to this year, probably my best year with the Blue Jays. Led the Oregon home runs. Um, did really well, organizational all-star, but it didn't start that way. And I'll build off my 4th year later, but basically I started the year in Dunedin, but I was on the inactive roster. So they wanted me there, but they wanted to give other guys a chance first. So I had to wait my turn um, until someone got hurt or whatever. So a funny story with that is I'm in Dunedin on the bench. I've never caught a day in my life,
Yeah.
and I'm catching bullpens because I'm inactive for like guys like Jordan Romano in the back of the bullpen. Eventually, about a few weeks pass, I finally get my shot and I ran with it. I mean, I I led the league in home runs. I led the Oregon home runs with 21, and um, I just overcame that obstacle and really, I think, put myself on the map there. Next year, I went actually before that.
Before you get into that, I want to there's something I want to talk about there. You could come in and be a complete destroying the league or doing really well in low ball, then moving up to to high A or whatever. But what you said there, if they invest financially on another athlete, whether they're as good or not even close to you, just because of financial investment, they get first opportunity no matter what. And that's the
100%.
reality. That's the reality of baseball. Even though they don't deserve it, they're going to get first bid always, right?
100%. It's the investment. Like I think I'm a pretty good player.
Yeah.
I've shown it in my career, but I was a senior sign, 9th round, which is still high, but there's always that money guy ahead of you that's going to get that first shot. So you just got to be waiting until you get that opportunity and you got to run with it because your leash is a lot shorter than the multi-million-dollar prospect, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did really well. We won a championship that year. We
So
beat
you did, huh?
we beat the Yankees. I forget their name, but they're in Tampa Bay, and we beat them in the final to win a minor league championship, which is hard to do. Not many guys make the playoffs. So building off that, I had a really good year. I put myself on the map with the Jays organizational all-star. They sent me to Australia. So I got to experience Australia for a few months and play winter ball there. Amazing experience. Like we'll get into it as well, where baseball has taken me all over the world with not just that, but Team Canada as well. But got to experience that. And then next year I was in AA New Hampshire, and if you look at that team, I would say.
So you moved up. You moved up pretty quickly. That was 3 years, 3 up.
Year by year, yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Every year I moved up. So my fourth year, I was in AA New Hampshire, and I would argue that's probably one of the best minor league teams assembled. If you look at it, I mean, we had everyone. We had Vladdy, Gurriel, John Birdie, Cavan, Bichette, Jonathan Davis, Harold Ramirez. Like,
it's crazy.
I'd say about 75, 80% of those guys are in the show right now.
Yeah.
So that was amazing experience too. We also won a championship that year as well. So we went back to back minor league championships, which is really hard to do. And that was something really cool taking away with the Blue Jays. That off season in January, I'll never forget it. Because, hometown kid, loved being a Blue Jay. Also, during the off season, I got to train at the Rogers Center. So I live in Etobicoke. Every day I would drive down to the Rogers Center, park underneath, go hit in the cage, get to do fly balls on the field, work out in the weight room with local guys like Romano was around.
Yeah.
At the time, Aaron Sanchez was still on the team. He was living here.
Yeah.
So getting that opportunity throughout the offseason as well was just incredible. But in January, I'm working out at my local gym, and I get a phone call saying, "You've just been traded to San Diego from Toronto." It was not Ross Atkins who called me, but one of the GMs at the time gave me a call, and it was Ben Sherrington. That's who it was. Okay. Ben Sherrington called me and said, "Hey, Connor, just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done with the Blue Jays, but we just traded you to San Diego. They'll be in contact with you in the next 10 minutes. Thank you for everything, and goodbye." And that was it. No longer Blue Jay.
That is pure Moneyball. That was the whole conversation. Moneyball, quick, short. That's it. Done.
No longer a Jay, and I'm just shocked. Mid off season workout, and I get a phone call from San Diego from their assistant GM at the time saying, "Hey, Connor, great to have you. We're looking forward to getting you out here to Arizona now in the spring, and we'll be in touch with future details." So just like that, in a span of, I was traded.
Who did you get traded for? Do you remember?
I was traded straight up for Clayton Richard, who was a big leaguer, the fifth starter that year in 2019 for the Blue Jays. So you think going into, wow, I got traded straight up for a big leaguer. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for me. And, although I wanted to be a Blue Jay, being a hometown kid, make it all the way, even getting to next year AAA.
Yeah, big.
I went to school in Buffalo. That means something to me, So I was a little upset, but also I was thinking, wow, this is a great opportunity. New org, being traded for a big leaguer, like this is my chance to, be a guy. And then if you want me to get into that story,
go. Let's go.
Okay, so go to spring training, fresh off back-to-back championships, AA. I loved Arizona. Spring training in Arizona, 100 times better than Florida spring training.
Yeah.
Travel reasons, the weather, you name it. I loved it out in Arizona. I went into the mentality I was going to be in the best shape. I was going to be the first one there, last one to leave. I did that. And I couldn't have made a better first impression, but that did not matter because at the time the Padres had the the most prospects in Major League Baseball. And, that's what they were very proud of. At the end of spring training, they call me in and say, "Hey, Connor, we love you as a player, but you know what? We just don't have a team for you right now. So you can either explore options with other teams or you can sit in extended spring training until a spot opens up on a team for you." So me being in double A, I've never been to extended spring training in my life. And for your viewers, we can sort of explain what that is. Extended spring training is if you don't make a team at the end of spring training, you stay at the complex and basically practice with all the guys and play games and work out until either a spot comes or you get released. So double A guy going to extended spring training was a pretty big, I wouldn't say blow to my ego, but like I'm just like, wow, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what more I could have done. And now I'm in extended spring training. I'm at the time, I'm double A player playing with like first year draft, second year draft guys. And there were a few other guys there too, like Chris Rowley. Remember him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Played with the Jays. He was
Yeah.
there. Dickerson, Dickerson, who was with the Giants for a while in the big leagues, he was there because he didn't have a spot. So
He was a pitcher, wasn't he?
No, he was an outfielder.
Dickerson. Okay.
Dickerson. Great guys, but
Yeah.
I grinded down there. I did. So 3 weeks, 2 weeks pass. I'm playing, I'm grinding. I finally get the call. Hey, you're going to AAA. Get the call to El Paso. So it's El Paso, Texas, where their AAA team is. I also drove out to Arizona, so I have my car. So I drive there, super excited, like can't wait. First 2 games go by, I'm like coaching first base or on the bench. I finally get my first AAA start. I hit a home run in my first AAA start. Go like 2 for 4. Couldn't have had a better game, right? That day after the game, I get called into the office. Hey, Connor, you know what? A big leaguer's getting healthy, so we got to send you back down to extended. Awesome game, first impression. Thank you. I have to drive back to extended. I grind for another week or so. I get called up again in a week, and I'm going to Vegas. They're in Vegas on the road. So we're in Vegas. Same thing, on the bench, coach first one game, then I'm playing first base. My second start in AAA ever, grand slam and a double. Like, couldn't write this up better. 2 starts, 2 home runs. That same night, can you believe I get sent down again? So 2 starts, sent down. Grinding a little bit more, I get called up again to AAA, back in El Paso. My third start, I hit another home run. 3 starts, 3 home runs. I'm hitting 580 at this point. Like, numbers are through the roof. I get it's only 3 starts, but you can't have a better first impression like that.
Yeah.
I get sent down again after that game. So I'm collecting air miles at this point with American Airlines, just collecting these air miles. I get called up again after about 2 weeks. I'm in AAA for about a few more weeks, bench guy. I actually get to stay up there for 2 consistent weeks, right? 2, 3 consistent weeks, hitting 280. Pretty good for a bench guy. And then I get a call again, like Francisco Cordero or someone like that. Franchi Cordero, that's who it was getting healthy. So guess what? I'm the guy. I was the filler guy, I guess that at that point. And I was being sent down. But guess what? There's no more extended because extended only lasts a certain part until short season starts, which like Vancouver, which was in June. So they couldn't send me there anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to double A, Amarillo. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I'll play more consistently. Nope, they sent me to high A. So I went from triple A to high A where I was playing once or twice a week just behind their super prospects, like Gabriel Arenas, like there were guys like that who are now in the big leagues, the guy who led the league in stolen bases this year, Ruiz, he was on my team. So playing behind guys like that once or twice a week, it's hard to play well.
Yeah, to build momentum, to build the routine. Yeah.
So grind that out for about a month. And then coming up, I get a call which is what we'll lead into, is my first Team Canada experience ever. Greg Hamilton calls me around that time saying, "Hey, Connor, would love to have you for the 2019 Pan American Games. It's in July. You're going to have to ask the Padres if they'll let you go." So I asked. They were totally fine with it coming up. And then, would you believe, 1 week before I have to head to Team Canada, the GM, not the GM, my coach in high A at the time, also some minor league coordinators were at the stadium in Lake Elsinore in California, and they called me in and they say, "Connor, you've produced, you've been a good player, but just with how our organization is right now, we just don't have room for you. As you can see, we've been moving you all over. We're gonna have to let you go." And I got released.
The reality of minor league. How crazy is that?
I couldn't. I tell you, Jeff, I couldn't have played better in AAA, and it didn't matter. The head coach there was like, "I would love, I'm sorry, Connor, I would love to have you here, but it's beyond my call, So to be just, it was tough. It was tough being released for the first time, like going in there with the mindset I had and so confident, and I had to drive back home from Arizona, and but it was nice because in a week I was getting to go to Team Canada, so I
Yeah.
had sort of that thing to look forward to. And you know what? We did well at the 2019 Pan American Games is probably one of my top favorite experiences as well, because we went to Peru, we
Yeah.
won a silver medal. The experience, it's like a mini Olympics. We're not
Yeah.
there right now in Chile, which is unfortunate, but it was amazing. So, and that leads to several other the past 4 or 5 years I've been a part of Team Canada, and I'm so thankful for it because of the experiences. But how my affiliated career sort of stopped was tough, but I didn't give up, like you said. And the story, I guess, still continues.
Yeah, it
So that was in
continues.
2019 when I got released. Well, guess what? 2020, we all remember what that was, right? COVID. No one was playing.
Yeah.
So that was a whole write-off for that summer. I was actually signed to go to the Winnipeg Goldeyes in the American Association. Because they were playing in the States, they couldn't bring the most Canadians down who were living in Canada. So that was a write-off for me. And I took the summer off, and I actually found my passion of golf. So I started golfing a lot that summer. Took the basically the year to reset. And then next year in 2021, I played for, it was called Equipe Quebec. So it was a mixed team of basically the Canadian teams to play in the Frontier League.
Yeah.
And we were a road team in the States the whole summer.
Which
So
is
that
crazy.
that was a grind. The travel, living out of a hotel the whole summer. But now the last 3 weeks we got to go to Quebec because the borders started opening up and stuff like that. But
let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about quickly. I want to dive into just those 4 years in the minor league system. You're a pro athlete. Give me an average salary per month you're getting paid.
I want you to guess.
I would say
AAA. Well, here.
Okay, let's start off with single A. Let's start off Vancouver to low A to high A with the Jays. Were you making more than 2 Gs a month?
No shot. I can't even remember my first paycheck, but after obviously tax and everything, oh my goodness, I couldn't even remember it.
Is it even 1,000 a month?
This is the one I remember. This is the one I remember. What do you think the level before the big leagues? Now it's changed,
Yeah, AAA. Okay, AAA. Go.
I was a little early to the party, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was in AAA. What do you think my bi-weekly salary was
bi-weekly
when I was in AAA?
Just tell me. I'm gonna get it wrong. Tell me what it is.
$943.
That is insane.
In AAA, I was making $943, and maybe like 70 cents too, bi-weekly. Oh, plus then you had to find your own place to stay and rent.
Yes. Okay, I was going to say that. So you're paying your own accommodations and all that. You're taking home nothing. And then on top of it, that is only playing time. So in the off season, you're not getting paid. So if you want extra training or anything, you're paying that out of your pocket.
Oh yeah, I had my quite fair of off-season jobs. So you were all on your own. So you're especially as a,
And you are in AAA a pro athlete. There's not even a question at that level.
You're the best top 3,000 baseball players in the world.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
So now it's changed a little.
Insane.
They're getting a lot more, but
explain a lot. But give me a lot more. What does a AAA athlete make now?
I don't know the numbers, but I think they're making like, it's not even anything crazy. It's like 40,000 a year now, but now it's yearly.
Yeah, yeah. But even that, I mean, what is that? You need to have a job on top of that if you have a family or a very supportive wife or partner, which is crazy. You're not surviving off that as a pro athlete.
Now it's where we go back to the prospects, million
their bonuses. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They have all the money in the world. It doesn't matter. So they're not, that's another side thing that like guys like me, like guys trying to grind through, you have that in the back of your head too, right? Like we don't have, you don't have money going through it, like that's another stress in your life as well, trying to play well and trying to keep your job. You also, so
when you get to the Quebec League, give me an example. What somebody like, what do they pay? If they do they pay?
Yeah, Quebec, same sort of thing. But this last year now, because I just turned 30. I was getting I was getting more in Lincoln, Nebraska than I was in AAA baseball, which is
crazy.
AAA, and don't get me wrong. Like this last year, I was in the American Association, Lincoln, Nebraska. Loved it. Probably my best professional year ever. Behind that year, I said in high A. Like it was the highest pay I was getting in pro baseball.
Let's talk about that. So do you still have an agent that finds just out there still hustling for you?
So, I would say my agent, he's been with me forever. It's more, like him helping me out now, like I don't have a signed contract or anything like that.
So how did you sign with the Saul Dogs?
I did it all on my own. I, found the research I thought in order for me to get signed back to affiliated ball, that was the mindset this year. Like, how do I get back there? I got to be one of the best players, obviously.
Yeah.
Which I think I did accomplish, but also you need an American visa. Yeah. So there's a few Canadian teams that I could, Trois-Rivières, Quebec Capitals, Ottawa, or Winnipeg in the American Association, but you don't have a work visa if you play for those teams. Yeah. So why would the Cleveland Indians, the Chicago Cubs sign me when they have to wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks to expedite this visa when they could just get an American and he can start playing right away? Yeah, that was the disadvantage for Canadians right away. So I'm like, I need to get an American team to sign me. Then it's easy if an affiliated team wants to buy my contract.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a bunch of teams, and a lot of teams didn't want to buy the visa. But then Brett Jody, who was my manager this year, he actually played a few years in the big leagues for the Padres, which is funny. But he said, shoot, man, I want you to be my starting right fielder every day. And they bought me the visa. So
explain bought you the visa. So how expensive is this visa?
I would say about, to expedite, $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay.
Which in reality is nothing, but what have we learned? Teams don't want to
spend the money. Especially in these independent balls where they a lot of them are struggling to keep their gates open too, right?
Yeah, some do get good crowds, especially on weekends. But so that was supposed to be for 2022. I signed with Lincoln. The visa took, because I guess they didn't expedite it, took about 8-9 months to come in.
What?
So come the beginning of the season, it's not in, and I'm sitting around for the first 2 weeks at home. What's going on? Am I going to play? Is this visa coming in?
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, Brad, I was like, this was for 2022. I was like, I got to play. I can't sit at home. Like, if this thing's not coming in. So they agreed to trade me to Trois-Rivières in the Frontier League until this visa came in, and I would be traded for a player to be named later back, which would be myself. So it was like a loan, basically.
Yeah.
Never came in all year. I spent all 2022 in Trois-Rivières. I liked it. I did well.
But how did your season go there?
Hit 260 with 15, 20 stolen bases. Like,
Yeah.
I had a good year, but like maybe just my mindset was like thinking I was supposed to be somewhere else. So
Yeah.
it is what it was. But then finally, guess what? My visa came in October. Oh yeah, we were done a month by then. So then they renewed the visa for this year, and it came in early because the renewal doesn't
Yeah.
take as long. And I was there for 2023 from the beginning, and I loved it. I did really well. I was an all-star. I was a postseason all-star where we went to Mexico and played in this Champions League and won that. Um, hit the most home runs of my career, 22. 21 was my previous record in high A.
22. And
And
how
I
many
hit
how many games did you guys play this season?
So it's 100, but I only got an 87 because I represented Team Canada and Argentina for the Pan American Game qualifier. So I missed about 2 weeks. So I
Yeah.
hit 22 and 87. If I had 13 more games, I think I
Hit the 30.
have had a few more for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say 30, but at
25.
least plus 25, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I hit 230, 297 with 22 this year, 920 OPS, like
All good
really good
numbers.
year. Like that should be numbers enough to consider being signed affiliated ball, getting a shot. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, no one is getting signed because they're cutting down numbers in affiliated ball. I think they have to go from like 180 to 160 this year again.
They keep dropping, huh?
Yeah. So the amount of talent in the American Association right now is equivalent, I would say, in between AA and AAA. The amount of ex big leaguers, guys like Byron Buxton was there this year, like Herrera, Chris Herman, who was the MVP. He's played 7 years in the big leagues. Like no one's getting signed. 4 guys this year got signed from my league. 3 pitchers, 5 technically. 1 guy got signed, a position player at the beginning of the year. He was back by the end of the year. So it's insane to just see how the opportunities there are none really, and age factor. I hate this because I would say I'm in my prime. Like they just want
Young
22, 23-year-olds. You look at AAA now. When I was in AAA, it was guys my age right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was only 26, 27 in AAA. But now you look at AAA, it's all 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds. It's changed, So it's tough. So now I look forward to other opportunities, whether it's playing overseas or
Is there still that glimpse of hope in your back of your mind that one day you will get on a major league field?
Yeah, I mean that's everyone's dream, right? And I came so close being in AAA, and I did get to play in a lot of spring training big league games with the Blue Jays. I got none with the Padres because clearly they didn't give me the opportunity over there. But I look at it's still tough for me because I live in Toronto.
Toronto Blue Jays. Now that Kiermaier is gone and Varshall's going to center field, they need a left fielder.
I would love nothing more for them to give me an opportunity again because I look at it and I'm like I can do what he's doing. I can compete. It's just level of opportunity. And I look at the Blue Jays now and I've played with 60% of those guys. Like the manager managed me every year when I was in the Blue Jays organization,
in your mind, do you ever think I just want to give him a call and talk to him?
Yeah, but like I get there's like that boundary as well as I still keep in touch with Jordan Romano a lot. I'll reach out to Biggio here and there, like guys Jansen, Gurriel always responds. There's guys who, it's still fresh in my head where I'm like what if I was there with them, I was right there through the minor leagues with them. So it's tough. I haven't been to a Blue Jays game since I got traded just because it hits home to me, man, I could be there. So it might take me a little bit longer to sort of get over that hump, but it's just the Padres have sort of left that little salty taste in my mouth where it's like, what if I didn't get traded, So
yeah, the opportunity. I mean, if you look at their outfield, that opportunity would have probably been there by now. And if you see this year, if you look at the guys that were called up this year, I'm horrible. There's a lot of guys. I can't think of his name that started with the team this year, and then he went down and up throughout the whole year. He was the last pick or the last guy that made the team, the roster this year from AAA. You know what I'm talking about?
For the Jays,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't really drink season.
They had one guy. This year they had about 3 or 4 guys, outfielders, come up and in through AAA back and forth all season long.
Okay.
Which would, if you were still in the system, that would have been probably your opportunity.
Exactly. And I don't really follow any Major League Baseball during the season because I'm focused on my season and you work all day, you play the baseball. The last thing I want to do is go watch more baseball.
Baseball. Right? Of course. Yeah.
So it was just that mindset. But yeah, even if you look at San Diego right now, they traded all their prospects. There's no prospects left in that org. Yeah. If you're in that minor league system now, you're laughing. I get obviously the big league team's super stacked, but I'd be comfortable in AAA right now, and who knows? Who knows what happens? So it's just you being lucky at the right time and getting a break. And I just that wasn't in the cards for me at the time, but I'm still optimistic. After this year, who knows?
Are you back with the Salt Dogs this coming season?
I haven't re-signed. If I was to go back to the American Association, I would sign with them. I loved it there, like big college town. That's where Nebraska Cornhuskers are. Beautiful stadium, great food, different lifestyle than Toronto. It's nice to get away from the huge city and traffic.
Yeah.
I want to go to Mexico. I want to go play in Mexico. I want that experience. I'm more right now, okay, if I can't re-sign to affiliated ball, I would love to sign to affiliated ball.
Yeah.
But I want the experiences. I love to travel. So if I can get down to Mexico, there's a really good summer league there where guys like me are going now. Play there for the summer, travel Mexico, experience, actually get paid good money.
Yeah.
And then focus my eyes on Baseball United next fall. So that's sort of my outlook on what's going to happen. So I'm just right now, I'm just waiting to sort of hear from teams and hopefully get some offers soon and sign with the team in Mexico.
Interesting. Let's talk about that. A new league that is opening, which is always interesting when you hear anything happening in Dubai, because financially there's always going to be a ton of backing, right? I mean, you're talking about individuals with a lot of, whether you talk about oil money or whatnot, there's a lot of money backing up. So if they actually want something to be successful, they will put a very solid product on the field. They started off with their golf league, which ended up uniting with the PGA or whatever, which is pretty crazy. So it opens up your eyes to anything else that happens. And all of a sudden this Baseball United starts, and it's interesting. When I saw it, and then I see you being drafted for their showcase, I thought it was pretty awesome. Canadian boy. Let's talk about that and how that all came about and how they got in contact with you, or did you get in contact with them? How did this all start?
So just through coaches who have known me and are a part of it, they put my name out there saying, "Hey, you should, this guy has power, good baseball player. You should consider him." So actually, this all started a while ago. I got the first original call actually in August in 2022 when I was in TR.
Seriously, huh?
So I was super pumped, but it was supposed to actually happen February before World Baseball Classic. They pushed it back because, too close to World Baseball Classic. They wanted to have their own hype. And so I basically have been a part of it for so long. And then now the stuff's starting to officially come out where they're showing guys who got signed and drafted. Like, I didn't know what team I was going to be on till about a week ago. And I got drafted by Dubai, which is pretty cool. I'm super excited for that, especially certain teammates I have on my team are, one's a future Hall of Famer. So Robinson Cano, right?
Yeah.
There's so many big names involved in this. So
how does the league work? Is there a certain amount of athletes that have to be local?
Yeah, so that was part of it. So they drafted, there's 4 teams to start. So they drafted 64, could be anywhere from Canada, US, Dominican, you name it, Mexico. And then I believe 16 Prospects had to be from India, Dubai, like you
Yeah.
name it, right? So
Yeah.
they want to make it inter baseball united, and they actually put out a cool demographic about a week ago where it showed everyone drafted where they were born, and it was like it had to be like 25 countries.
Which is
So
pretty awesome.
and 3 Canadians are going. Me, Jacob Robson,
Yes.
and LP Pelletier, who was on my Tri Riviere team. So there's three Canadians going, which is
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
yeah. So this upcoming November, I also got the call. It's not the season this year. It's sort of like a promote baseball all-star showcase where they're doing 2 teams and we're going to play a few exhibition games, maybe a home run derby, promote the game of baseball over there and try to make the fans into it like they are. Like cricket's huge over there. So imagine if baseball can get to somewhat that level.
Cricket is, when you're looking at the world viewing audience, cricket is probably the most, if I think it's the most viewed sport in the world, and that's because obviously the demographic in places like India and all that stuff, that cricket is a massive sport. So
Yeah.
I mean, if when you look at the amount of population in some of these countries, and if they could turn around and put even 5-10% of the eyes on baseball, it could grow so rapidly.
Yeah.
So the potential is there. Potential is there, and financially the potential is there too. I could see something like that happen. So who knows where the next 5, 6, 7 years of your career ends up, right?
Yeah, I don't want to put a time limit on my baseball career because like you can only play for so long, but the
Yeah,
experiences are life changing. Like I have my education. When I'm done, I sort of have an idea of what I'll do, but just why not experience this?
I
And
love that. I love that. I love that.
I get the money is sort of my
It'll,
minor league career.
it'll,
You've made nothing, but maybe this is my chance to finally maybe
yeah, but
get
I
that
mean, if
opportunity.
money comes and goes, I mean, money will
Yeah,
come
exactly.
eventually. That's the
Little
last of your worries.
exposure.
100%. And your experiences you could take on to utilize to other parts of your future career, whether it's guest speaking or standing on stage and telling your experience. Or would you ever get into coaching?
I would. So I do that in the off season. I have clients for baseball where I do private baseball lessons, but I also do a huge camp every Christmas called Train Like a Pro, where I get
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
all the pros around the GTA. You actually gave me some shirts one time for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Romano comes out every year and it's a big success. So yeah, I would for 100% love to do. I consider coaching in the future as well. Who knows? Maybe like opening a high performance facility or something like that. But we'll see when that gets there, right?
Yeah, we
I want
got
to put
plenty of time to worry about that.
yeah.
So looking at yourself now that you're 30 and going back to when you were drafted at 19, 20, what were you drafted at?
No, I would have been
21?
22.
22. Okay, 22. Is that when you look at being drafted nowadays, guys are getting drafted so young? Is that actually in today's age, like, is that late 22 or is that an average age for a player to be drafted?
Well, I was a senior sign. So that's the thing too, right? Senior sign. Uh, my signing bonus was $10,000. I'm okay saying that. My slot bonus
Yeah.
was $279,000. All that money went to signing Vladdy as a free agent. So they did, senior sign. They either say, "Hey, I have
Yeah.
no leverage." Okay, go enjoy normal life then.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or take that, or take this. So obviously, you're going to take what they give you, and it's not like I can say, "Oh, I'm going back to school."
So when you go back and you could sit back and just look at the first 4 to 5 years of your career, would you have done anything different at that time? Then you go back and do you think that could have changed any of your outcome? Is it hard to even think of that, or do you ever think of that?
I just the only I showed up every day. I worked hard. I I played the game the proper way. Never always hustled. I can't control the opportunity I'm given. Like
Yeah.
look at what happened in San Diego. What more can I do?
Yeah.
So like it's tough to say would I go back, what could I change, maybe the only thing is when you're in that position, every day it's a mental grind. For example, like there'd be days I'd hit a home run and I wouldn't play for 3 days. So it's like,
How do you reset yourself with that? And did
you
you
know,
ever in the mental side of coaching? And there's a lot of it's a huge part of young athletes nowadays, having mindset coaches and all that stuff. And there's a lot of guys making a lot of money on the mindset coaching aspect, whether it's online or working with teams. How did you reset your mind and how did you stay focused every time you went out there? Like, did you have somebody helping you? Were you doing this all on your own? Like, where was your mindset with that?
so because it was very, it was stressful. If you don't play well, you may not play for a few
Yeah,
days. It's not like
100%.
exactly going back to the prospects, they're playing every day, no matter they go hitless. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. They're
yeah,
playing. They
yeah.
got the money. Um, I developed a thing actually when I was in the Blue Jays system. When I'm playing, say if I'm not having a good hitting game, I'm 0 for 2, 0 for 3. Where does your head want to wander when you're in the outfield or infield?
Yeah.
So I developed an acronym every time I'm on defense to go over to just keep my mind in the present. So it's called TOP. And basically what I do is before I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
Um, and it's I would recommend young players starting early because it helps. Basically before every pitch, I go over top, which stands for um, where am I throwing this baseball? How many outs are there? And position, where am I playing this guy? So where am I throwing this? Okay, guy on second. If there's a ground ball through, I'm throwing it to four or second. Or how many out? Position, where am I playing? Every pitch just have so you're just always I'm here a minute,
You're
because how
present.
many times do you see like a guy think it's not two outs and
Yeah, yeah,
something
100%.
like that, or it happens,
Yeah.
so like I really took that on and it helped me in the present when I wasn't doing well. I would say more this year, I was at ease mindset where, I was very relaxed, playing, having fun, being myself. Um, that's how you have to play. If you're stressed and intense all the time, like you're not going to play as well. So, yeah.
With Team Canada, let's talk about quickly Team Canada. What is your future with Team Canada? Are you still in the system there? Are you still going to be playing with them? Like, what's the future with Team Canada?
I would hope so because Team Canada has been one of the best baseball experiences of my life. It's brought me all around the world.
You went to were you on the team that went to Brazil?
That was the one before. So that was the Pan Am qualifier. I didn't go to that one. And then I got the Pan Ams right after that. And I've been a part ever since. The only tournament I haven't done in the last 5 years was the World Baseball Classic recently. So would have loved to have been a part of that, but
Yeah.
just certain guys going and stuff like that. I guess I was just the one man out, right? So um it's taken me everywhere. Played in Japan, Korea, Peru,
Which is pretty awesome.
Argentina, all over the states, like it's just amazing the opportunities that come with it. And I would love to
Do you
still
get
be
paid? Do
part
you
of it.
get paid for that or no? It's just
There's only two money tournaments. It's Premier 12 and World Baseball Classic. Pan Am's, everything else is just
you're
you
just
wanting to
representing.
represent your country. And exactly.
Interesting. So let's talk about quickly going up to like growing up in baseball, playing, getting drafted. Huge influence in your life growing up. Parents, like who do you look back and think like there's no way I would have made this without them?
I mean, it's easy to say my early childhood and through high school, my dad was always there, taking me
Was
to
your
the
dad
baseball.
a coach ever? Coached you?
Yeah, so he coached me up until I would say I was 16. Uh, and then I was with the Mets and obviously then went to college and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, he made me fall in love with the game. We went to the field all the time to hit and get better and train. And obviously, I'm older now. He doesn't give me as much they still watch all my games and stuff, right? And
Yeah.
he tries to give me like advice. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, but it's funny. It's still like I got to train for Dubai. There's not many guys in the city I can really train with. So sometimes I get my dad out and he feeds me the
How special is
wheel
that?
machine. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he loves it.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm sure
still
you love
helping
it
me out.
too. I'm
Yeah,
sure you love it too, buddy. It's something that those memories they're priceless, right? There's
yeah,
something that 20 years from now you'll look back on and they'll be so special.
exactly.
Especially one day when you have your own family and stuff, it's just going to add more value to all that, right?
Well, yeah, I always worry now though. I'm hitting these lasers back at the cage, and one ricochet hits him in the head. But
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, career wise, you said with coaching and all that stuff, right now you're just still in love with the game, and which I love. You almost don't have a plan B right now. Because right now it's just a baseball and see where it takes you, which I love.
so
Because a lot of guys don't have that mindset. They fear out of that opportunity. They lose that passion because they're so fearful of what's going to happen. And I always talk about that. You just got to live it and do it every day, right?
exactly. But I do have my plan B. I'm actually my off season job. I teach high school, so I'm actually teaching.
You
Um,
are actually, huh?
yeah, so I'm not full time right now because I'm committed to baseball, right? So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm like 4 days a week in the high school at my old high school teaching. Um,
Seriously, I didn't know that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
So I
went
do that
you did your old teacher's college, you finished
at
everything.
Canisius College. Yeah, or
Yeah, huh?
Canisius University.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess that's the weird saying, but
yeah.
yeah, do that, and then baseball lessons, stuff like
What
that.
so what high school do you teach at?
So I do a few like around my area, but the
Yeah, yeah,
main two, I mean, Etobicoke Collegiate Institute is where I went to school. So
yeah.
I'm there. I was there yesterday. They wanted me there today, but I said nope. Got a podcast to do.
Topical school. Where's that? Where's that located?
It's right off Bloor and like Islington, like around that area.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
But do you ever do that high school on what is that street there? Eglinton and God, it's
Risku.
yeah.
I've never. They've asked me, but I've just
I think that's
I
Jody.
sort of
I think that was Jody Votto. Joey Votto
yeah.
school.
That's where Votto went to school,
Yeah,
Richview.
it's
Yeah.
just pretty crazy. My parents lived right like we lived right around the corner from there off Scarlet Road. So
Okay.
yeah, so I know the area very, very, very well. So how does your students look at you when they obviously know what you're doing? How cool are they? Is it pretty awesome to have the cool teacher
Yeah.
effect there?
I would say it's a cool experience. My brother also teaches at that school as well. So like when we're both in, it's funny because you don't really get two teachers with the same last name.
Yeah,
Cool. So Panas squared, like stuff like that. But
yeah.
yeah, no, like some kids congratulated me on the Dubai draft because I guess they're you know
Watching you.
yeah. So it is cool. It is cool. They ask questions. They're excited about it. I guess just in my head, I don't see I don't see how excited they are, because like I guess I'm just at this point in my life where it's like, oh yeah, whatever. I got drafted. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah,
them, it's a huge deal, right? So
yeah.
um yeah.
If there's one thing you could give, I'm going to leave it off with this: an advice for a young athlete that's going to a draft or just got drafted. What it would be?
Brady to,
No.
to get drafted
Or
or just
you just say you just got drafted. You just got drafted. You're an athlete, a Canadian or whatnot. What advice? And they're going to start their pro careers, not knowing what the future holds. What advice would you give them that you've been through this whole process?
you got to get that mind right, that mindset. I think that's the thing that separates people, especially with the grind of how the minor leagues is not as of a grind of what I went through, but like every day's a battle, and guess what? You're playing the next day. You're playing the next day. You got to get that head right. You got to have a short mindset, and you know, your talent can only take you so far. So that's what I would say is just really practice on getting that mind right, and that'll that'll get you far.
I love it. I love it. Canadian boy. Still, I mean, obviously, still has a dream and hope to get on a major league field, which obviously the talent's there, it's just the opportunity, but tons of other opportunities still happening. Obviously this year, Mexico, hopefully, and next year, Dubai, or this next coming fall. Yeah, next fall, Dubai. So tons of stuff. I'm gonna have you on again because I do want to. Once you get to the Baseball United, I'd love to have you on to talk about your experience with that and all that stuff like that, and see where your future holds. But this has been a fun, long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm excited to get this on. And we got a couple new sponsors that they want a lot of Canadian content on this podcast. So this is going to be a great episode for our Canadian audience to hear a hometown boy that made it pro and still living the dream at 30, and hopefully quite a few more years left on this journey of his. So I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This has been awesome.